Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another exciting episode of Inside the Helmet. My name is Michael, and joining me, as usual, I won't say always, but as usual, is my dad. Say hi.
Hey hey there.
Hey, you're a little quiet. I don't know if you're like away from your phone or something.
I said, hey there.
There you go. That was a lot better. All right. Obviously, still trudging through the off season in terms of football. We haven't quite hit the NFL draft yet. That's in less than a month, right?
End of April, I believe.
End of April. Awesome. But that doesn't mean that we are shy of football topics to discuss. And something we were talking about before the show, we usually will, just get into a regular phone call beforehand before we hop into the actual recording studio for the podcast. We'll get on the phone and we'll talk just kind of about how we want the show to flow and what we want to talk about and in what order, just so we kind of have a plan going into things. And one thing that stuck out was this kind of discourse that has honestly persisted for many, many decades in the world of sports, and that's comparing players of different eras. And during the talks of these comparisons, the discussion always comes up, well, so and so was only so good because they played against firefighters and electricians. Oh, they couldn't play in the modern era. Oh, if this player went back and played in the 50s, they would look, like a wizard out there. You
Right.
know, we kind of wanted to open up the show by bringing up a few names, mainly in football, that we think have an interesting discourse, whether they could play in a different era, whether it's an old timer coming to the modern day, or maybe a modern player going back when rules were a lot looser and certain players like quarterbacks weren't quite as protected. How would they be able to adjust to a game that they frankly didn't grow up playing? Because if you really look at it, the game of football, especially, has changed so much over the decades in terms of rules and player safety and equipment, not even to mention, just simple things like nutrition and like player training, physical training. If so much has changed. So what are your thoughts? Who do you want to throw into the ring?
Well, we were mentioning before the show one of the all-time great NFL linebackers that they show all the highlights of. Just a beast on the field. He would body slam people. His whole name is synonymous with toughness, and that, of course, is Hall of Famer Dick Butkus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's held up as one of the greatest linebackers. And, I mean, I've seen the highlights. I mean, I'm impressed. But I think he was a product of his era. Um, Modern day linebackers, first of all, they don't get to body slam people and do all the nasty extra stuff that
Mm-hmm.
Butkus intimidated people with. And also, Butkus was good at reacting side to side and closing ground. But modern day NFL linebackers, because the passing game has developed so much, have to be able to start their charge and then suddenly go into a back pedal. And
Yeah.
I'm just not picturing Dick Butkus in pass protection
Mm-hmm.
the same way that modern linebackers are. So I think if Dick Butkus was born, 40 years later, trying to make the NFL now, maybe he'd make
Mm-hmm.
it just on toughness, but I don't know that he would have that same reputation as an all-time great.
Yeah, his role, I'll say, would definitely have to be more diminished. When I think of Dick Butkus, I think of someone who's just going to run straight at the running back and meet them in the gap and
Mm-hmm.
flatten them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
super
like you
tough
said,
guy.
I'm not imagining Dick Butkus as someone who can cover the field side to side and all that, like a Fred Warner of today. If anything, his play style, he wasn't quite big enough to be a defensive tackle or anything like that. but maybe as an edge rusher. Oh, did we lose you there for a second?
Yeah, someone was trying to call into my phone. It was a spam. I got rid of it.
All right. Well, I was saying that I think that Dick Buck has certainly had the tenacity and the physical strength and toughness and the mental toughness, let alone to I think mount a good chance at making the NFL. But I think yeah, in today's game, where a middle linebacker, his position, of course, is called upon to play much more of a field general role and a zone coverage role, like a Fred Warner. I don't think that his downhill run stuffing style would be quite as suited to the modern game. And so I think he would have to probably adjust and possibly be an edge rusher,
I
someone
think
more focused entirely at just going after the quarterback.
this is not modern day, but it's more modern than Butkus.
Mm-hmm.
I think where we saw that transition happen back in the 80s, early 90s period, there was a guy who was an All American um, linebacker, had a lot of notoriety, was incredibly famous in college, and got drafted really high by the Seahawks.
The Boz?
Yeah. And yeah, he kind of patterned his game after Butkus. He was a steroid freak at the time, admitted steroid freak, and so he was a downhill linebacker who just liked to rough people up. And in college, that made for great highlights. And then he got to the NFL, where they asked him to be more athletic, and
Mm-hmm.
he just couldn't. He didn't have those skills. And
Yeah.
then on top of that, he wound up with shoulder problems, always trying to make the big hit.
Getting
And
embarrassed by Bo Jackson didn't help.
you know what? I think the Boz got a bad deal on that. I mean, yes, it is Bo Jackson, one of the most freakish athletes we've ever seen. But uh, that one hit where they say, "Oh, Bo ran him over."
Mm.
Boz was coming in at an angle, and Bo was pretty much going straight ahead, and it really was a 3-yard collision where they both fell into the end zone. I'm not
There's
going to
still
trash
six
the Boz on
points.
that. Yeah,
History is
but
written by the victor.
it would have been a miracle if the Boz could have stopped somebody in that situation with Bo's strength. I mean, Bo had the angle, and uh, if you want to talk about a hit, by the way, I'm not trying to sidetrack, but if you want to talk about
Mm.
a hit um, that people still show on highlight films where two stud dudes just met in the hole, the famous Christian Okoye and Steve Atwater hit,
Mm-hmm.
where I mean Okoye was they called him the Nigerian Nightmare because he was 235, 240 pounds. He ran straight ahead. He had no wiggle, but he did have strength and speed. And Atwater was probably outweighed by about 30 pounds, but he was a really, really tough safety for the Broncos. And they met in the hole just head on. And both of them bounced backwards
Mm-hmm.
off of that one. I mean, probably Atwater got the worst of it, but and got more ribbing afterwards, and Okoye didn't. But if you look at the hit, that one was evenly matched. The one with Boz and Bo Jackson, it was at an angle. But anyway, yeah, I think the Boz would be sort of another example of how Butkus probably couldn't fit in the modern game. Now, if you want to talk about a guy who would fit in the modern game, and if he could go back and play 20 or 30 years before he played, people would just, I'm not sure they could throw more accolades on the guy because he's the best linebacker I ever saw
Mm-hmm.
when he was young, before he got in trouble, before he gained weight. Lawrence Taylor was absolutely a physical freak, and he had the disposition of a rattlesnake. I mean, this guy would just go in and destroy people, and he was so athletic that
Mm-hmm.
he would be a dominant force in today's game.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine if he went back and played against the firefighters and the accountants or whatever it was that you call them, he would have been NFL MVP. So
He even managed to win an MVP at linebacker when he did play. So who knows how many he'd win back then.
Yeah, and I mean, as a lifelong Cowboys fan, it kills me to say it, but um, one of the absolute greatest football players there for a 4 or 5 year stretch of anybody that I've ever seen. You know, and he played for one of the Cowboys' big rivals,
Mm-hmm.
but he was just incredible. You mentioned quarterbacks who could or could not translate to the modern game. I'll
Mm-hmm.
throw out one I think absolutely could translate because his game was never about his athleticism.
Okay.
He had he had just enough. See if you can guess. He had just enough athleticism, and he was in the right system for his skill set, and he was really really good at reading the option routes that his receivers and he worked out.
Well, are you saying an old quarterback that could hang in today's league?
Yeah, yeah. Well, a retired quarterback clearly, who was from the '80s, and I think that his game would translate because he was a field general, and he wasn't asked to try to make 50-yard throws very often. It was just reading and reacting, and again, the system that he was in, I think, would still work. Um,
Are you waiting for me to guess?
yeah, I am.
Oh, you're talking about Montana, aren't you?
I am talking about Joe
Okay.
Montana. Yeah, I think Joe Montana would be successful in 2026
Of course.
if he was a young quarterback.
He's
Um,
only like the second or third best quarterback of all time.
well, but it wasn't because of his athletic abilities or whatever. He wasn't a big guy, he wasn't a fast guy.
Mm-hmm.
He just was a good leader and a good quarterback who really understood his system. And I think that that would translate
Mm-hmm.
really well. And I think also throwing on there, if I can throw a Cowboy in there, I think
Mm-hmm.
Aikman because of his accuracy. He
All
was
right.
he was a bigger guy. Again, not asked to run very much. He was just sort of asked to get the ball, drop back, 1, 2, 3, release to a spot and hit that spot. And I think that translates.
Mm-hmm. It absolutely would, especially with the inflated passing numbers and the heavier emphasis on the passing game. I've heard criticism of Aikman that his numbers, his career stats, he doesn't have enough passing yards or touchdowns. I think he only threw for more than 20 touchdowns in a season one time, or something like that.
Sounds
And
right.
so
Yeah.
therefore he based off of his raw stats alone would not be Hall of Fame worthy if it weren't for his 3 Super Bowl rings, which can be argued, but I've heard the argument, and this is what I go to, is that he wasn't asked to throw the ball, 600 times a season for 4,000 yards and 35 touchdowns. He didn't have to. I think he's one of those quarterbacks. Saw a YouTube video one time that described it perfectly. That you always hear about these quarterbacks that, oh, if they were in a better situation, oh, if Dan Marino was in John Elway's situation, he would have 4 Super Bowl rings, whatever. But I think ironically, if Aikman was in a situation on a team that had to rely more on his passing ability, he would be much more respected as a pure quarterback.
I think you would too. And you mentioned the names Elway and Marino. I don't even think of them as being old. I mean, yes, they're old school, but
Mm-hmm.
quarterbacks are still kind of playing. They had modern training
Mm-hmm.
when they played. So when we bring up old quarterbacks, we're talking about Bart Starr, Johnny Unitas, Otto Graham, um, guys that we never actually saw play other than the
Yeah.
highlight reels, but they just had their mechanics were so different. Um, they were literally playing against firefighters and accountants, and their foot speed was not great. Um, Certainly, if you gave them their offensive linemen against today's defensive linemen, their offensive linemen were 250 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's no way that they could compete with their offensive linemen. I mean, is it possible that some of these old school greats could play in modern football? I don't know. I don't.
I
I don't think so. I mean, if you get into the '80s, even the '70s, I mean, Bradshaw, Staubach, I kind of think, yeah, they were athletic enough and they were definitely tough enough. But if you go
Mhm.
back to the Joe Namaths and the guys who were pretty much, not only were they pocket passers, they like never left the pocket. You know, I don't know that they thrive in modern day
Yeah.
football.
I think it's important to clarify when we're bringing up these scenarios, we're not imagining, oh, what if Johnny Unitas was born in 1999 and so
Right.
grew up with the modern game of football, grew up with modern nutrition and training and knowledge and all that. We're saying, what if we ripped a 25-year-old Johnny Unitas
Put him
right
in a
out
time
of
machine.
the
Yeah.
50s and then plopped him right in 2026. So he grew up with the 40s and 50s style of play and all that, and he suddenly had to try and make it in the modern NFL.
Right.
Just for reference, because obviously, if you know, we if you account for modern nutrition and make that a factor and modern training and modern knowledge and technique and all that, then that opens the door for people that you probably have never heard of, people that never get talked about. Suddenly now they're valid in the conversation of, well, yeah, they would make it in today's league.
Yeah, I
So
mean, there's a famous old picture at halftime of was it Super Bowl three that the Chiefs played in back then?
are you talking
Or
about the picture of Len Dawson smoking a cigar in the locker room?
no, this was not a cigar. This was a cigarette, and it was at halftime. This was not a
Yeah, at
victory.
halftime.
This is not a victory cigar. After the game was over and the
Oh,
season was over,
okay.
yeah,
Maybe
he
I
was actually.
misremembered the picture. I think that was Super Bowl one.
I don't think that they played
They did. Yeah, they lost.
to the Packers.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, the Packers beat the Raiders in Super Bowl two.
Okay. So it was Super Bowl four when the Chiefs came back, because we all know Super Bowl
Yeah.
three was Joe Namath
Hmm.
and the Jets. So anyway, yeah, I do wonder, the old time guys had the toughness factor because
Hmm.
they would throw the ball and the defensive lineman didn't have the one step rule, and they certainly didn't have the you can't land with all your body weight on the quarterback rule. And if you ever watch those highlights of um, from back before they had those rules, there's one play in particular, and I wish I could remember who the defender was, but it was Bradshaw, I think, that completed a big long 50-yard rainbow pass. And after he let it go, the defensive lineman just picked him up and did a body slam and separated his shoulder.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was really brutal. And there's pictures of Bradshaw missing teeth and stuff in some pictures. So anyway, uh,
Huh.
the other name, we've been talking about quarterbacks and defensive players. The one I wondered about is, because you kind of have to go way back. There's two guys that I wonder about, and I didn't
Hmm.
see them play live. I was too young, but two of the all-time greats, certainly, Jim Brown and Gale Sayers.
Okay.
And I want to start with Gale Sayers just because I've seen the highlights, and compared to the guys that he was out there against, he looked really fast and really elusive. But I didn't think he looked as smooth to my eyes in the highlights as the highlights that I saw of OJ Simpson. I didn't see the same acceleration from Gale Sayers' time. And I don't know how well Gale Sayers would do because his whole thing was elusiveness and burst and speed.
Hmm.
I never saw Gale Sayers run over anybody. So I don't know how well Gale Sayers, if he would be just okay um, in modern day NFL. But the one that really I want to talk about was Jim Brown
Hmm.
because many people just kind of repeat, "Oh, the greatest running back of all time is Jim Brown,"
Hmm.
and I've seen the highlights, and he was 6'1", 6'2", 230 pounds, really strong, really fast for his time. But have you seen on the highlights? To me, it's about the wiggle. It's about the ability, the jump cut. It's about the ability to get through that hole and then accelerate. And we've seen so many guys in modern NFL who are so good at it.
No, when I
Jim
think
Brown
of
looks slow to me.
Jim Brown, I think of a guy taking a sweep around the edge, and then he meets a defender who's probably 5 inches and 25 pounds lighter than him,
Yeah.
smaller than him, and he just kind of throws them and keeps jogging along. And, maybe another guy or two that, again, are smaller than him bounce off of him because he's bigger than all the fast guys and he's faster than all the big guys. So.
He was the original Derrick Henry.
That's what I was gonna say. I
Yeah.
I think with both Jim Brown and Gale Sayers, I think that those two are actually valid examples of what people say about Michael Jordan.
Huh.
People say Michael Jordan, if he played in today's NBA, would be an average player.
People are stupid if they say that.
I agree.
This man had a 48-inch vertical leap and played every game like he
Hmm.
was a freshman trying to make the varsity.
Hmm. Yeah,
He
but
had
I don't agree with the people saying that about Michael Jordan. I
yeah.
agree if you want to say that about Jim Brown and about Gale Sayers. I always recall Gale Sayers being undersized. Am I correct?
Um Yeah, I think he was somewhere in the middle. I mean, he was not a little guy, but he also was not a big guy.
I'm
Um,
looking it up. He was 6 foot nothing, 198 pounds. So a
yeah,
little
which
bigger than I
was
thought he would be, actually. I imagine he'd be like 5'9", maybe 180.
oh no
But
no no.
he's a little bigger than I thought he'd be. Just for reference, what was Jim Brown? He was 6'2", 231. So we were right about
See,
it.
there you go. Yeah,
So, yeah, I think it
Jim
would be
Brown was a
fair.
man playing among boys.
Exactly. I think it would be fair if you want to compare Gale Sayers to. Oh, who would be a good comparison? I was going to say Darren Sproles, but he's a little bigger than that.
No, he's
Maybe like an
definitely
Alvin Kamara.
okay. Yeah, no, that's not bad.
And
Um,
then, yeah, I like the just Derrick Henry, but worse comparison for Jim Brown.
yeah, I don't think Jim Brown could do the things that Derrick Henry could
No,
do.
not as strong, not as fast.
No. So anyway, interesting segment. We could probably just keep pulling up names and going back and forth. But
Well, I have one more
um,
name. I
yeah,
want to hear your thoughts because we mostly just been talking about older players
yeah.
and how they would do in the modern day. We mentioned Lawrence Taylor, and how he would be universally.
By the way, Ronnie Lott and this, he played most of his career with the Niners.
Mhm. Of
Um, Ronnie Lott would still be an All-Pro safety
course.
in modern league.
Hmm.
Um, dude just had it all. And I
Oh, yeah.
know people talk about Ed Reed, Palomalo, whoever, the name of
Hmm.
the year is now at safety, but Ronnie Lott had the instincts and the speed and the toughness
Hmm.
and the everything. So go ahead.
This isn't who I was going to talk about, but you mentioning Ronnie Lott made me think of Deion Sanders, and he's the rare case of someone I actually think would have benefited from playing in the modern era compared to when he played.
Yeah, they wouldn't ask him to tackle as much.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. He'd
That was
play
his
in an era
kryptonite.
where he wouldn't be asked to be as physical when
Yep.
he was not known for his like physical strength or anything. He was
Yeah.
just known for his speed. And in the modern day, that would basically be all he needs.
Well, Dion created the phrase "I made a business decision,"
Mm-hmm.
meaning that
Yeah.
big running back comes around the corner, and Dion just sort of throws one shoulder at him
Mm-hmm.
and made a business decision.
Yeah. Um no, but who I was gonna throw in the ring is Patrick Mahomes.
Huh. Um. Well.
Because I think if if we had these black and white highlights of Patrick Mahomes running around, because he'd be bigger and faster than anybody else.
Yeah.
He's about the same size as Jim Brown and is probably about as fast. So it'd be like Jim Brown out there at quarterback, and he's the most talented quarterback of all time.
Yeah. I mean, if you took hadn't thought about it in that direction so much, but if you put Mahomes back when they showed games in black and white,
Mm-hmm.
um, he probably his elusive ability would probably be very comparable to maybe Fran Tarkenton from that time.
Yeah.
Of course, then he's a lot bigger. Tarkenton was not a real big dude; he was just a quick dude, and then he's got that big arm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just can't imagine. I mean, Mahomes has got all of the accolades he ever needs, but it
I mean, they
might,
say Otto Graham played 10 seasons of professional football and went to the championship every single one of them.
yeah,
He didn't
but
win all of them. I think if
well,
Mahomes did that, he would go 20 for 20.
yeah, Otto Graham. I've always compared in my mind, and understand I never saw him play other than
Mhm.
highlights. I kind of compare him in basketball to Bill Russell.
That's a very good comparison.
He went to a lot of championships. He was on a lot of good teams. He contributed to a lot of really good teams. But he was not the reason that those teams got there.
Sure.
There were multiple reasons those teams, talking about the Celtics and Bill Russell, uh,
Hmm.
got there. So that's how I think of Otto Graham. Good for him. He
Hmm.
won, and
Of course.
that's what your job is as a quarterback and the leader of the team is to win.
Hmm.
So credit to Otto Graham. But we said we were gonna try and keep this 30 minutes, and we're 23 minutes in,
I'm
and
at 28.
oh, I got 23.
I think because like 5 minutes in, you got cut out because you got an incoming call.
Okay.
We're
Um,
probably going to end up running like 45 minutes.
yeah. So our mid segment here, give us a quick abbreviated version of what's going on with F1.
Sure, F1's back in Japan. This is going to be the final time we'll see F1 cars racing until May, because of course, the races in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia getting canceled because of conflict in that area of the world. Not really safe to go racing at a time like this, but anyway, we return to Suzuka in Japan, one of the most storied and loved environments in all of racing. Um, Obviously, Mercedes have just been running away with it all season so far. However, I believe in the past week there's been a little bit of news that's broken regarding the questionability of the legality of the Mercedes car. One little piece of speculation I have seen in particular is that it's regarding the front wing of the Mercedes F1 car, and it is apparently opening and closing too quickly. Supposedly, so whenever an F1 car is driving through a certain designated zone, there is it essentially active arrow there are aerodynamic elements of the car on the front and the rear wing that are able to open up. So like it is typically like at a slant to allow the air to pass over it, creates downforce that helps the car stay planted to the ground. But when you're on a straight section, obviously you don't need all that downforce, and you're more benefited by it opening up to allow air to pass straight through it, and then that helps you have a little bit higher top speed. Anyway, supposedly the front and rear wing are supposed to take somewhere around 800 milliseconds to open or something like that. And supposedly the Mercedes rear front wing is opening in half that time. So too fast, supposedly giving them some sort of advantage. There's also all this speculation because Formula One right now with these brand new regulations is so heavily driven by, or success anyway, at the moment is so heavily tied to how good your engine is with the brand new engine regulations. There are all these questions and speculations about how legal the Mercedes engine is. You know, of course, that also raises questions because Mercedes supply engines, supposedly the same ones that they build for themselves, to other teams, to McLaren, Alpine, and Williams. So, however, none of those teams have seemed to be able to match the pace of the Mercedes despite having the same engine in a series where the engine is seeming to be the most important part right now. So that also raises questions about are Mercedes, tuning up their engine compared to the ones that they're giving to these other teams, which are supposed to be identical. Who knows? But to my knowledge, not a whole lot has come out about that. Not really a whole lot of news. Fernando Alonso, the oldest and most experienced driver in Formula One history. Well, not the oldest in Formula One history, but like he's done the most races. He's the oldest current Formula One driver at like 43 or 44 years old. Two-time world champion back when I was in diapers.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
he's ancient.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, 43 years old.
Uh-huh.
Love to be
Well,
43 again.
um, he just welcomed his first child into the world, so good for him. It's funny, the oldest driver has the youngest kid on the grid of the
Yeah.
drivers who have kids.
When I was 43, you were 4. So,
Yeah, and when you were 43, Fernando Alonso was, well, still a two-time champion. He was a couple years removed from his championships.
yeah.
He was still winning races, which he hasn't done in 13 years.
Yeah. Good for him that he's still around. What does your shirt say? I'm curious.
This says, "But Daddy, I love him." The
And
shirt I
that's
saw online. There's a Formula One
picture of
podcast, huh?
and that's a picture of
That is a
uh
picture of Max Verstappen, of course.
yeah.
That
And
is a picture
you wear that in public?
I have.
Uh,
Um,
is-
there is a Formula One podcast that I will watch sometimes on YouTube, and one of the hosts is a big Max Verstappen fan, and they happen to find a shirt that looks like this online. And they got it and wore it on the podcast, and then I saw that episode and was like, "That's a funny shirt. I'm gonna get
hmm,
that."
yeah. All right then.
Hmm.
So we're quickly running out of time.
Yeah, so we have a
But
final
we've
segment. Last time, I think, what did we name? Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
yeah.
So we've got this kind of new segment where we like to kind of play a little game, test our NFL memory. We'll maybe someday expand it to some other topic, but right now we're sticking with the NFL. Last episode, we rattled off taking turns, seeing who could continue naming Hall of Fame quarterbacks. This time, we're going to expand it,
We only missed
and
like 2,
yeah, we
right?
missed two. We missed Dan Fouts and George Blanda.
Yeah,
So we named 24 out of the 26.
right. So
Uh,
this number's going to be bigger, and
mm-hmm.
I don't
It's gonna be
think
bigger.
we'll only miss 2.
Because today we're naming Super Bowl starting quarterbacks. Doesn't
Right.
matter if the Super Bowl was the only game they ever started in their career, but they have to have started a Super Bowl.
Okay.
Doesn't matter if
Um,
they were for the winning or losing team. Doesn't matter
I'm
how many Super Bowls.
I'm flipping an imaginary coin
All right.
and call it.
Tails.
It was heads. So I
Cool.
get the
You go.
choice, and I guess I will go first.
I said tails last time, so
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna have my phone flip a coin next time.
I remember that. Okay, so I'm going to take the first one off the board, just because this is my all-time favorite quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Um, number 12, Roger Staubach.
Okay. I'm gonna go Bart Starr.
I'll take Terry Bradshaw.
I'll take Len Dawson.
I will take Troy Aikman.
I'll take Jim Plunkett.
Joe Montana,
Joe Namath.
Steve Young.
Daryl LaMonica.
I don't think Daryl LaMonica made a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he did. Was he in Super Bowl II?
Just peg that one. We'll look it up. We'll
Someone
keep.
had to. Someone was the starter for the Raiders
Yeah.
that wasn't Stabler and wasn't Plunkett.
Okay. Well, you mentioned Stabler, so I'll throw out Stabler.
All right. Johnny Unitas.
And I'll throw out Plunkett because did you already mention Plunkett?
I think I did.
Okay, then I'll go Elway.
I'm kind of trying to go as much in order as I can,
Oh.
but to varying degrees of success. Craig Morton,
Jim McMahon.
Fran Tarkenton,
Um, Peyton Manning.
okay, Tom Brady,
um, Brett Favre.
you already say Aikman.
Yeah.
All right, Patrick Mahomes,
Aaron Rodgers.
Jalen Hurts,
Neil O'Donnell.
okay. Who did he start for?
Steelers. He threw
That's
two
right.
picks. He threw two
That was
really
in like
bad
Super Bowl
interceptions
30
to
or
Larry
whatever, right?
Brown. Yeah. It's the
Okay,
Cowboys'
yeah.
last
I
Super
always
Bowl.
forget who the Steelers quarterback was in that one.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought. Sam Darnold,
Brad Johnson.
Drake May. I flip flop sides. Now I'm doing the
Yeah, now
more
you know
recent
you're going
ones.
backwards. Okay. I will go with yeesh, Donovan McNabb.
Earl Morrell.
I think it was Morrill.
More whatever.
Well, I mean, get the name right.
Earl Morrell.
Earl Morrill. Joe Theismann.
Doug Williams.
Mark Rippon.
Phil Simms.
Jeff Hostetler.
I knew you were going to say that. Jim Kelly.
All right. I'm sure you've already said. Oh, uh, Drew Brees.
Bob Greasy.
Okay. I'm thinking of different teams and trying to remember their starting quarterback when they made it to a Super Bowl. Did you already say Unitas?
I said Unitas, yeah.
Yeah. And you said Morton.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Going through different teams. Do we say Tarkenton?
I said Tarkenton, yeah.
Did you?
I'm thinking of 3 quarterbacks from the same team.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Kurt Warner.
Okay. Joe Montana.
I already said him.
Did you? Okay. Steve Young.
Said him too.
Okay, fine. Colin Kaepernick.
I hadn't said him. Okay.
I don't remember you saying Montana or Young, but whatever.
No, I did.
All right. I believe it.
Okay. How about Matthew Stafford?
Okay. How about, did I already say Drake May?
Yeah.
Okay. Joe Burrow.
Vince Ferragamo.
Brock Purdy.
Ooh, that was a good one. Um, Rich Gannon.
Okay. Who was that? Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah. It helps by thinking of teams,
Mm-hmm.
kind of going division by division and thinking about which teams. This one, I think we have to allow a little bit more grace to kind of go through the because like if you think of the Jets, you go, well, they've been there one time, so we know
Yeah.
its name. It there's and so
Mm-hmm.
you can eliminate. But there's been teams that have been there multiple times with different quarterbacks,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of have to go through. Um, okay, so I'm thinking of Stan Humphries led the Chargers to the Super Bowl. That they got obliterated by Steve Young and the Niners.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the only time the Chargers have ever made the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Jared Goff.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah,
Super
he
Bowl
did.
53 with the Rams. The worst
He did.
Super Bowl ever.
Yeah, he did. Um. Drew Bledsoe.
Yeah, he got beat by Favre, yeah. Um, who was I just thinking of? What the heck? Matt Ryan.
Yeah, gave up 28-3.
Mm-hmm.
Um. I've got one up in my pocket. I've been saving it for a week because
Okay.
I just don't know when to play that card because once I play that card, I'm out. Steve McNair.
Ooh, okay. Nick Foles.
Ooh, nice. Um,
Now I'm gonna try and steal your card.
yeah, I don't think you will. This one is really, really random. Um, so, did Kerry Collins ever make a Super Bowl with the Giants? Um, that's one of those I'm not sure. That's not my wild card.
Okay.
He was kind of good for a while and bounced around teams and might have had a losing Super Bowl. You can even stop and look that up and see if I'm right or wrong.
I know if you're right or wrong.
Oh, well, I mean, guessing wrong is not elimination.
No. No, it's not. We're just going until we just can't think of any more.
So,
But
am I,
if there's
am I
huh?
right? Am I right or wrong about Kerry
Are you
Collins?
guessing Kerry Collins?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, because he got beat by Trent Dilfer.
Okay. Well, and I already said Trent Dilfer.
Did you? Oh, dang
I
it.
did.
Okay. All right then. I didn't know you already said that.
Yep.
Joe Flacco.
Oh, yeah, for the Ravens. That was good. Um, uh, Ben Roethlisberger.
Can't believe we didn't say him yet. Yeah, he
I can't.
floated through my mind a few times, but I just didn't say him.
Dude won like 2 out of 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I already know you're not going to say the name, so Cam Newton.
yeah. I would just go. Um,
I should have let you.
yeah, I
So you can just
probably.
do that sound with no explanation on the podcast.
Yeah, there was a time when I couldn't say his name
Hmm.
because I just didn't like the guy.
Yeah.
Uh, um, well, going through in my mind AFC West, AFC Central, NFC East. I've got my wild card still to play because nobody remembers this unless they actually watch the game. And I guess I'm going to throw it out. And if you can name two more, then you win.
All right.
But you will never have come up with this one.
All right.
Let me make sure I don't have one more. Yeah, it's not coming to me. So I'm going to throw out Miami Dolphins quarterback David Woodley.
Okay, I wouldn't have got that. I don't know why I have the name Steve Grogan in my mind.
Yeah, he made it as the Patriots starting quarterback.
When they
No,
got beat by the Bears.
wait. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, Jake Delhomme, Rex Grossman.
Oh, geez. Show off.
I had another one. What was? Eli Manning.
Oh my gosh. I even went through in my head. I went through NFC East. I went, Phil Simms, Jeff Hostetler, and I never forwarded another 15
Russell
years and
Wilson.
got to. Oh, jeez. Yeah, there were a lot of obvious ones. We just okay. I was saving the David Woodley like all
Mhm.
week when we first talked about doing it
Mm.
because I thought, yeah, he's never going to get David Woodley.
I wouldn't have.
No, he was just a fill-in quarterback. Honestly, Don Strock might have started one of the Super Bowls for the Dolphins. He was like a career backup, and I want to say he might have actually started one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my David Woodley didn't work. I can't believe of all the ones, Eli and Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Also, Daryl LaMonica, I did just look it up. Yeah, he was the starter who lost to Bart Starr and the Packers in Super Bowl II with the Raiders.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's been
Who did we miss?
There's been 59 Super Bowls, which means they're
60.
Yeah. I mean, potentially 120 starting quarterbacks, but a lot of guys were there, multiple times. So there's less than 120.
All right. Do we want to go down the list of who we missed?
Yeah, the obvious ones. I mean,
I'm just going to go down the list. I have a whole list of winning and losing QBs.
Yeah.
Going in chronological order, in Super Bowl IV, Joe Kapp of the Minnesota Vikings lost.
Never would have gotten that, yeah.
In Super Bowl VII, Billy Kilmer of the Washington Redskins
Didn't realize, I thought about Billy Kilmer. I didn't realize that he had led them actually to a Super Bowl. I remember Kilmer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't even throw out the name Ken Anderson, even though he was in my mind.
Yeah,
Ron Jaworski. Did you say Ron Jaworski?
We didn't. He was the first Philly quarterback to lead them to a Super Bowl. He had a great running back named Wilbert Montgomery, who was very comparable to Tony Dorsett. And if I recall right, Wilbert actually played here in Texas at Abilene Christian University. Yeah, great running back, but didn't have the longevity of career that Dorsett did, so he's not remembered that well.
By the way, I think my Steve Grogan poll might have been incorrect because the actual starting quarterback was another person who was in my head, Tony Eason.
Huh. Okay.
I didn't know Boomer Esiason also made. I forgot about that other Bengals Super Bowl.
He lost to the Niners.
Yep. You said Stan Humphries. We didn't say. You did say Neil O'Donnell. Actually, we didn't say Chris Chandler.
Yeah, for the Falcons.
We didn't say Matt Hasselbeck
for the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm. We didn't say. I think we got every winner. We got every Super Bowl winning quarterback,
Really?
but we just missed some losers.
Huh.
Yeah. We only got every winner thanks to me throwing out Eli and Russell Wilson
Yeah,
and Joe Flacco.
I'm kind of embarrassed about the Eli and the Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I
Right.
should have taken it chronologically, and I didn't.
Mm.
Anybody else on the?
No, it was just Kilmer. Oh, Vince Ferragamo.
I
Did you
said
say him?
him.
You
Yeah,
said him? Okay, I didn't
I
read
did.
that name the first time around, so I just came back
That
to it.
was the Steelers dominating 70s. That was
The
the
Rams.
last
Yeah.
against the Rams. Yeah, and it was a good game until Bradshaw pulled out at the end.
Mm-hmm. Well, cool. Well, we only missed like four of them or so, and they were all on the losing side. So I mean, of
Hmm.
course, history forgot them too.
Yeah. I think the Joe Cap one for me is the most random that
That's the most
I
random.
just
I had at one point in my mind Ken Anderson and Boomer Esiason in my head,
I
but then
could
I just jumped to other quarterbacks.
I could see coming up with those two. I could obviously see coming up with Russell Wilson and Eli. I mean,
Hmm.
they're obvious.
I
Um,
only know the name Tony Eason because there's a website called Sporkle where like people can just create quizzes about any topic, and I've spent plenty of time on there just doing like NFL quizzes and stuff.
so the hold on, the Carolina Panthers have made the Super Bowl twice, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One time we know uh,
Mm-hmm.
the name that I won't say.
And it was Jake Delhomme who lost to Tom
Okay,
Brady.
yeah, it was the Jake Delhomme that it just his name fell out of my head. Um, I mean, he wasn't a memorable quarterback. He was good. He was serviceable. Good dude, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just not etched into the Mount Rushmore
Mm-hmm.
of
Yeah.
my mind. So, um, yeah, I mean, I think we did pretty good. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's easy when you if you just go team by team, and maybe that's the way we should have done is just gone through all 32 teams and said, okay, Super Bowl quarterbacks from this team. Because like if I said Cowboys, you easily would go uh, Morton, Staubach, Aikman,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it.
And that's it.
There's been
Dak
three.
Prescott, 2026.
Well, I mean, we can only hope. But there's only been three who have ever led the team to a Super Bowl. Danny White came really close
Mm-hmm.
several times and deserves credit for getting to the NFC Championship game. Just couldn't quite get over. But um, you know, and if you said Chicago Bears, uh, you go
Jim
well,
McMahon and Rex Grossman.
yeah, and you would think it would be Jim McMahon and Jim Harbaugh because he had them within an eyelash a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
Rex Grossman is forgotten in time.
Oh yeah.
Um, wasn't the most likable guy. If you picked out Cleveland Browns quarterbacks, you go, well,
None of them.
none of them. And if you go Cincinnati Bengals, you go there's
Anderson and Esiason.
well, and Burrow.
And Burrow. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So maybe we should have done it team by team. We would have had a better chance.
Yeah.
Because actually, I think if you would have said Seahawks quarterbacks, I would have probably gone Russell Wilson, Sam Darnold, and uh,
Hasselback.
Hasselback. Thank you. Yeah. So we probably handicapped ourselves by the way we did it. In uh, maybe in the future we'll actually take it team by team
Mm-hmm.
to give ourselves a better chance.
Well, I think that's just a matter of approach.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like at first I was approaching it going in order of the first Super Bowls, and then when I got tired of that and couldn't as quickly come up with them, I shifted to more modern ones and started going
Well,
backwards.
and
So,
I gotta say, for all of the times and years, not just weeks and months, but years and years and years, when we would go out to the side yard and toss a football after dinner and have these discussions, and we would talk about all this stuff, and I would share my what I had seen, history, knowledge, and all that, and you absorbed it. It's incredible that you can you can now hang with me on these, talking about players you never even saw play.
hmm
Um, and yeah, I, I think if you went up against anybody your age, you'd be like the Jeopardy champion. Um,
maybe so.
maybe so. And blame me for pouring all that into your head. But, it was just idle chatter as we were tossing a football back and forth a
hmm
thousand times a night. So, no, amazing how much you've retained. So,
hmm
yeah. Anyway, well, we did a 55-minute show instead of a 30-minute show, but that's okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh well.
All right. Well,
All
uh,
right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in and watching. Leave a comment if you dare. I'll say the topic we can toss back and forth, test ourselves on next week. But other than that, again, thank you for tuning in to Inside the Helmet. We'll be back next week.
yeah. God bless and peace out.
Yep.